Cathay Pacific posts profit for the second consecutive year. Medical devices donated to the city's 2 medical schools end up in 2 private hospitals. And in Pakistan, security forces rescue more than 100 hostages from a hijacked train. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Cathay Pacific reported a second consecutive year of net profit, reaching around $9.9 billion in 2024. However, the airline's low-cost carrier Hong Kong Express posted a steeper decline of $400 million. This as a flagship carrier noted tense relations between China and the U.S. will not have a major effect on the company. Cathay further said it is looking into possibly expanding its fleet by purchasing the C919 and C929 aircraft. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Hong Kong's flagship carrier has recorded 2 consecutive years of solid financial performance in the post-pandemic era. Having attained a profit of over $104 billion last year, which saw a growth of 10% year-on-year, Cathay made a net profit of close to $9.9 billion, or about a 1% increase. Passenger figures also surged to well over 22 million, which saw a year-on-year growth of 27%. Income from cargo continued on an upward trajectory, having reached an 8.3% growth year-on-year. However, the group's low-cost carrier, Hong Kong Express, saw losses of some $400 million, despite recording 6.1 million passengers, a 47% year-on-year growth. Responding to questions about the airline expanding its fleet by acquiring homemade Comac planes, Cathay said it will continue to observe developments made by the Chinese aircraft manufacturer.
I think our particular route structure and market demand require a larger narrow-body aircraft. So we're interested to see if Comac's plans in due course will include the introduction of a stretched variant of the C919. And we're also keen to see how the 929 and its engine options develop to understand if it might potentially be a fit for our future mid-size wide-body needs.
Cathay Pacific said in line with its commitment to share success with the community, the city's flagship carrier will invest over $100 billion to coincide with the launch of the 3-runway system. Cathay added that the financial gains attained in 2024 enabled the purchase of 100 new generation aircraft and the addition of 11 new destinations. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Last year, the Li Ka-shing Foundation introduced 3 pioneering histotripsy devices which allowed non-invasive treatment of liver cancer. 2 of the devices were donated to the city's 2 medical schools and the other to a private hospital. But the devices received by the 2 medical schools were not put to regular use and later moved to 2 private hospitals. That means all 3 histotripsy devices are now available only at private healthcare facilities. Introduced from the United States, this tumor-crushing histotripsy device uses high-intensity ultrasound to produce shockwaves to destroy tumor cells without damaging the surrounding tissue. Without the need to go under the knife, liver cancer patients can walk and eat regularly after the treatment. They can be discharged from the hospital as soon as 1 day or even the same day. Last year, the Li Ka-shing Foundation donated the pioneering equipment to the University of Hong Kong, the Faculty of Medicine at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and the Hong Kong Sanatorium and Hospital. It sponsored 6 doctors and radiation therapists from Queen Mary Hospital to receive training in the United States. The foundation also sponsored 10 liver cancer patients to receive clinical trial treatment at Queen Mary Hospital. The first device successfully treated 30 liver cancer patients within 90 days. The HKU Faculty of Medicine said it plans to incorporate the treatment into their regular services so more patients at public hospitals can benefit. However, the device received by HKU was moved to Gleneagles Hospital, a private hospital. Gleneagles announced that starting later this month, it will use the device to provide treatment for liver cancer patients. The fees for both examination and treatment are set at $308,000 or $258,000 for Hong Kong residents. The histotripsy device received by the Faculty of Medicine at the Chinese University of Hong Kong will be moved to COHK Medical Center, also a private hospital. The hospital is collaborating with an insurance company so that the cancer treatment package will be included in some insurance policies after the service is made official. Lawmaker Chen Hoi-yan urged the government to explain why such services are not retained at public hospitals after clinical studies. She said the government should also look into whether the public healthcare system lacks the talent to operate such machines, which led to the devices being transferred to the private hospitals. Chen added the government should subsidize underprivileged liver cancer patients to receive such treatment for fairer access. Starting March 24th, patients at public hospitals and clinics will receive a maximum of 24 weeks' worth of prescribed medicine at a time. This as the hospital authority is taking steps to reduce medication wastage. For medications that exceed the 24-week supply, patients will need to pick up their prescriptions in person. For as-needed medications like painkillers, patients will only receive 25% of the total prescribed amount. That's if the prescription lasts longer than 28 days. In the second phase, expected in the fourth quarter of this year, some medications will be dispensed for up to 8 weeks. The hospital authority said potential adjustments to the current $15 fee for 16 weeks of medication, which is heavily subsidized by the government, will help trim medical expenses. The savings will go towards listing new drugs and subsidizing treatments for serious diseases. Pakistani security forces said they have rescued 155 hostages and killed 27 terrorists, a day after a train was intercepted and hijacked by armed militants in the southwestern province of Balochistan. It was reported that the driver of the train and 9 police officers died in the attack. Danny Zhou has the story.
A Jaffa Express train with about 450 passengers on board was on its way from Quetta to Peshawar on Tuesday afternoon. While traveling through a tunnel in the hilly area of Bolan, a remote district in Balochistan province, the train came under a bomb and gun attack which brought it to a halt. An unknown number of militants blew up the tracks and immobilized the train engine and its 9 coaches. Responsibility for the assault was quickly claimed by the Baloch Liberation Army, a separatist militant group behind rising violence in the region. The BLA threatened to kill the 214 hostages in their custody, including personnel from military, police, and intelligence agencies. It demanded a prisoner exchange within 48 hours to release Baloch political prisoners, activists, and missing persons. So far, there has been no indication from the authorities regarding the group's offer. Officials confirmed the security forces, backed up by helicopters, are engaged in gunfire exchange with the attackers. The militants were said to be wearing explosive vests and had positioned suicide bombers near the hostages, complicating the rescue efforts. Nearby hospitals have gone into emergency mode and a relief train was dispatched to the site. One of the passengers freed from the hijacked train said passengers were all shouting, crying and lying on the floor, trying to save their lives. He said the sound of gunfire was coming from everywhere, and the insurgents told passengers to get down. Pakistani government spokesman Shahid Rind termed the attack as an act of terrorism. The country's interior minister said the government would not make any concessions. In Beijing, a spokesperson for the foreign ministry condemned the assault and said China is willing to strengthen counterterrorism security cooperation with Pakistan. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
U.S. President Donald Trump's 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports went into effect today. This as Trump reversed course on Tuesday afternoon on the pledge to double tariffs on steel and aluminum from Canada to 50%. Just hours after announcing the higher tariff, rapid-fire moves scrambled financial markets. The switch came after a Canadian official also backed off his own plans for a 25% surcharge on electricity to the U.S. Tracy Furness has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump's global tariffs on steel and aluminium imports went into effect today. The run-up to the tariff deadline came with some drama on Tuesday as Trump threatened Canada with doubling the duty to 50% on its steel and aluminium exports to the U.S., the duty extending to hundreds of downstream products made from the metals, from nuts and bolts to bulldozer blades and soda cans. Trump backed off from the plan for extra tariffs after Ontario Premier Doug Ford agreed to suspend his province's decision to impose a 25% surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S. states of Minnesota, Michigan and New York that would have affected millions of households and businesses. The rapid-fire moves caused a stock market sell-off.
We've seen significant stock market sell-offs over the past 2 days. In fact, the S&P 500 stock index is at its lowest point since September of last year. Why is that? Investors are spooked by the risks of tariffs. They're looking at the announcements coming from President Trump with regard to tariffs on Canada, Mexico, steel, aluminum, and more going forward starting in April, and worrying that that's going to hurt profits, slow growth, and raise prices.
Ford said he would fly to Washington Thursday with Canadian Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc for talks with US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and other Trump officials. The European Commission, the executive arm of the European Union, charged with coordinating trade matters, responded swiftly to the tariffs, saying it would impose counter-tariffs of 26 billion euros worth of US goods from next month. We are ready to engage in meaningful dialogue, Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told reporters, adding she tasked Trade Commissioner Maros Sefcovic to resume his talks to explore better solutions with the US. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
And still ahead, results of a parliamentary election in Greenland. 18 boxes of electronic equipment stolen from Hong Kong Disneyland. 3 men arrested. And an art hub fusing traditional Chinese art with digital technology in a Beijing department store. Welcome back. Greenland's pro-business opposition Democratic Party, which favors a slow approach to independence from Denmark, has won the island's parliamentary election. The vote was dominated by U.S. President Donald Trump's pledge to take control of the island. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Democrats had secured 29.9% of the votes in Greenland's parliamentary election, with all ballots counted. That's up from 9.1% in 2021. The opposition Nalarak Party, which favours rapid independence from Denmark, won 24.5% of the votes. The ruling Inuit Ataqatigiit Party and its partner Sumut, which also seek a slow path towards independence, won a combined 36% of votes, down from 66.1% in 2021. Following his win, Democratic's leader Jens Frederik Nielsen said his party doesn't want independence tomorrow, but wants a good foundation. He said people in Greenland want change. Nielsen pledged to attract more business to the island to help finance welfare for its residents. He will now hold talks with other parties to try and form a governing coalition. Greenland is a former Danish colony and has been a territory since 1953. It gained some autonomy in 1979 when its first parliament was formed. However, Copenhagen still controls its foreign affairs, defense and monetary policy and provides just under $1 billion a year to the economy. In 2009, Greenland won the right to declare full independence through a referendum. It has not done so out of concern living standards would drop without Denmark's economic support. The election came with the vast island, which has a population of just 57,000, caught up in a geopolitical race for dominance in the Arctic, where melting ice caps are making its resources more accessible and opening new shipping routes. Since taking office in January, US President Donald Trump has vowed to make Greenland part of the United States, saying it is vital to American security interests. However, the idea has been rejected by most Greenlanders. Dan Rao, TV News.
3 men were arrested on suspicion of burglary at Hong Kong Disneyland. The trio allegedly broke into the park's warehouse to steal 18 boxes of electronic equipment. The police said they received a report yesterday from Disney staff that a warehouse had been burgled, with items including firewall equipment and TV remote controls being taken away. The equipment was valued at about 3 million Hong Kong dollars. The police combed through surveillance footage and found a 28-year-old man was at the warehouse between March 1st and 7th. The man was reportedly arrested in Tai Po last night. Further investigations found the suspect sold the stolen goods to a recycling shop in Sham Shui Po for $300,000. Some items were resold to a friend. The recycling shop manager and the friend were also arrested. In 2024, the country's Ministry of Culture and Tourism rolled out the action plan for the innovative development of smart tourism. The blueprint aims to buoy the development of immersive experience spaces in the country's cultural and tourism sites. With that in mind, a department store in Beijing has set up an art hub fusing traditional Chinese art with digital technology. A a walk down the lane of time and step into the world of digital art. This immersive light and shadow art exhibition was set up in a department store in Beijing as an amalgamation of technologies including VR and auto-stereoscopy, also known as glasses-free 3D. These patterns of traditional Chinese cultural elements reimagined in new artistic forms. Visitors can touch the artifacts from 360 degrees and appreciate the artistry up close. Visitors can also immerse themselves in the Chinese painting, strolling alongside the koi fish. From the past to the future, visitors can design a futuristic avatar of their own.
看过类似的。
This woman says she has seen similar exhibitions, but this time she was taken aback by the beauty of the installations, and the exhibits are quite educational as well.
想带孩子来体验一下，让
This woman says she wants to take her child to experience a tech-powered art hub and be inspired. The gallery also features a special exhibition of Dun Huang's Mogao case with digital recreation of the art inside the 1,000 Buddha grottos.
我们希望通过
Liu Shixue, executive director of this digital art center, said they hope that traditional Chinese culture can break and transcend their physical limitations through the integration and innovation of these cultural technologies and be presented to the audience in a more intuitive and interactive way.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.